Good Monday morning. I'm Bill Edwards. Brittany has the week off. Actually, she is doing some GOP work, and she's going to try to join us telephonically or a Zoom call sometime tomorrow. But we have a full day for you today. Glad you hope you had a great weekend. We had Veterans Day. The Veterans Day parade went off without a hitch. The weather was a little on the cooler side, and we had some overcast skies, but there was just some misty rain here and there. It didn't seem to, as we say ad nauseum in the broadcast business, it didn't dampen the spirits. And of course, Veterans Day, we're going to be talking and hearing from some veterans here this morning. And to salute all of you who have served in uniform so proudly and so honorably over the years. It really is an honor to be in such a great community like this that has every branch of the service represented somewhere, either whether it's a Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, along with the Beaufort, the Naval Hospital there, and also Parris Island, where they make Marines. Marines just had their birthday last week as well. And then, of course, we have Hunter Army Airfield. Right here in Savannah, home of the 1st Ranger Battalion. But right there is the Coast Guard Air Station. The Coast Guard, of course, guarding our port. We have Kings Bay Naval Base down just below Brunswick. And it's just amazing what we do have. The 3rd Infantry Division stationed at Fort Stewart, only about 30 miles away. And it is really the 165th Airlift Wing, Georgia Air National Guard. So every branch of the service is absolutely well represented here, including the Merchant Marines that sometimes get overlooked. You realize that we would not have won World War II without the Merchant Marines. And we built 88 of those, what they call Liberty ships, right here in Savannah. Including the first one, the General Oglethorpe, which met its demise. But that was extremely dangerous service. They traveled in convoys, and the German Wolfpack was sinking them right and left. In fact, I met one of the veterans here who had the ship blown out from under him 3 times, 3 different ships that he was on while he was serving in World War II. These are the ships that took troops over, supplies. You understand that when an army is moving, that they have to somebody's got to feed them. Well, how are you going to get fed in a war zone? That's what these guys do, bringing all the supplies in. If the supply chain breaks down, as it did for some of our enemies, that's when things go south for them. And so a big salute to all the Merchant Marines who so often get just left out and forgotten about. But wow, what a great legacy that you guys have. And the fact that we built 88 ships here, this is something you ought to be taught. Ask any of our school kids here about the Liberty ships being built in Savannah and evaluate that blank stare. But we'll be talking more about Veterans Day coming up and talk to some people who are appreciative and are veterans as well. As am I, but my military service was nothing to write home about. I got the National Defense Medal. You get that for showing up. You're welcome. Meanwhile, big bombshell. I guess we could say that this is a sort of breaking news or alert. Tim Scott, a wonderful senator from South Carolina, a good friend of ours, has dropped out of the presidential race, apparently to the shock of his own staff. And he made the announcement on national television last night when he was on with Trey Gowdy on Fox News Sunday Night in America. And it went something like this.
You're feeling a little bit better, but how are you feeling, and when are you going to get back on the campaign trail?
Well, Trey, anytime Dak Prescott has 5 touchdowns, you feel better about everything. I've been drinking a lot of water. I'll be down for another couple of days, but I'm looking forward to getting back on the campaign trail. Without any question, Trey, one of the things I would recommend to every single American, I know it's not possible, by the way, if you ever want to love your country more, run for president. Traveling this country, meeting people has been one of the most fantastic experiences of my entire life. I love America more today than I did on May 22nd. But when I go back to Iowa, it will not be as a presidential candidate. I am suspending my campaign. I think the voters who are the most remarkable people on the planet have been really clear that they're telling me, not now, Tim. I don't think they're saying, Trey, no, but I do think they're saying not now. And so I'm going to respect the voters, and I'm going to hold on and keep working really hard, and look forward to another opportunity.
Wow. So apparently, this came as a shock to his staff and just about to everyone else. As was a breaking news. So Tim Scott out of the race. One of the things that has always amused me about, or the thing that I liked about Tim Scott, was when I first met him, when he became a congressman. And I met him in person and did an interview with him when we were at a change of command ceremony at the Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort some years back. And he had just gotten started, and he seemed extremely, not overwhelmed with the job, but he seemed like he really knew that this was a great opportunity for him and for his fellow South Carolinians. He represented his district so very well, so much so that, of course, he made it to the Senate. And this is no mean feat, because we hearing from the Democrats all the time that one of the things that they are so passionate about is how unbiased they are. Well, it couldn't be any further from the truth. Reverse that 180 degrees. It's just amazing the lack of unbiasedness that the Democrat Party has, and we don't call it the Democratic Party because it isn't democratic. They are Democrats. They are the left, and what is unfortunate is that the left-wing loons have taken over that party, or what's left of it. And but Tim Scott has represented us so well. Only black senator, by the way, not a Democrat that says that they are so big tent type people. They're not. It's the Republicans who have the big tent. And this is something that I think that we should be looking at. My producer and I were just talking just before we went on the air this morning about the lack of voter turnout, and we had in last week's elections that we had so many opportunities to get a big change at City Hall, and we didn't. There are two newcomers. I'm still stunned that Pat Rossiter didn't win his at-large post. That just stunned me, and it's a fact, and we have nobody to blame but the Republicans for sitting home. We have one of the things that we do is door knocking. As Drew and I, my producer, were talking just before airtime, so they did a lot of knocking on doors, but some of these people aren't home. Most conservatives and most Republicans are working for a living. So if you're out there in the middle of the day knocking on doors or whatever, if you're on Saturday, if you're doing on Saturday, sometimes these people are out and about enjoying life, and but the fact that some people were even surprised that there was an election is what's really stunning. You think that those of us who are the people who pay so much attention to politics, and it is part of our life, and we do this show for political purposes and for political as our foundation. We think that everybody knows this stuff, and then you see people like Jesse Waters and even Jay Leno and the late night comedians who do the man on the street interviews, talking to people who have no clue as to who the vice president is, or who former presidents were. They would show them pictures of Winston Churchill, show them pictures of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They couldn't tell one from the other. Didn't even know who they were in the first place, but couldn't tell one from the other. This is something we have to get over. Teaching civics in our school should be one of the number one priorities. Our new superintendent, I've heard some very good things about her. But the new superintendent of our public schools here, they say she's the real deal. There's a great story about her. There's an article about her. I'm going to try to get her on with us as soon as we can. But there's a great article in the current edition of Savannah Connect. I highly recommend you pick one up. It's one of those free magazines that you can just pick up right off. They've got kiosks all over the place with their magazine in there, and there's no charge for it. But there's a great story about how she says the importance of education is so vital because she lost a sister who didn't think education was vital and made some terrible choices in her life that eventually cost her life. It's a very touching story. but she says that one of the things that she wants to do is to teach our kids to read. When we don't have kids being able to read, that's a problem. Now, just this past Friday, my wife and I had the privilege of going to Grandparents' Day at our two grandchildren that are of school age right now are going to Veritas Academy. And it is a very small private school. Their school is actually in the Independent Presbyterian Church building, and they do a classical education. I am so impressed with what these kids are learning. First of all, starting off with Latin, which is the basis of all languages. And when the progressives started taking over our education system, one of the things that they took out was they took a lot of stuff out of our curriculum. Even while I was in school, and believe me, that's been a while. One of them was Latin. It used to be a required course. My mother took it. She was looking forward to me taking it. When they dropped it the year before I was supposed to take it, she was outraged. They kept be giving this song and dance, but it's a dead language. Nobody speaks Latin anymore. Well, at the time, the Catholic Church was still doing the Latin Mass on every Sunday. So it was still around, and it's the basis of just about all languages. You learn Latin, and you can practically spell anything. It should be a vital course. That should be one of the courses that we teach. Bring it back into our public schools and start teaching it as a basic required course. That's the start. And then but these kids were so impressive of what they have to learn Bible verse wise, what they have to, and the reading list just goes from, there are about 20 books on the reading list, of which 15 I'd never heard of. But things like Black Beauty, The Jungle Book, books of that nature are required reading for the kids at Veritas. And they also have a required reading list for the parents of books to read to the kids. Now, this is something that is just unbelievable. In fact, our daughter-in-law says, I'm not sure I'm going to pass the second grade here. There is so much going on at that school and what they're teaching the kids. And here's the interesting part. After lunch, school's out. The philosophy is they want you back home with your parents. They want you back home, and I know most parents are now, unfortunately, both parents have to work. But in many cases, they don't. Our daughter-in-law is lucky enough that she can work from home, so they can spend more time with the children and get involved with their schoolwork and know what they're doing. It's very important. So this is something that I think should be going on to our public schools. And bring God back. I'm sorry. That's exactly what we need. Is you've got kids growing up today that have no idea about information in the Bible. Bring back Bible as a course. It's a book that teaches a lot of history. You don't have to believe that there's a God. If you don't, I don't know how anybody can believe that this all just came about just by accident. There was some big bang. I've always been amused at the Big Bang Theory people. Once upon a time, there was nothing, and then suddenly nothing exploded. Somebody explain that one to me. Haven't gotten a good explanation yet. But there has to be a foundation. There has to be a planner. The building that we're in didn't build itself. There had to be an architect. There had to be a planner. There had to be builders to do it. So this universe didn't come about with all of the physical laws that work no matter where you go in the universe. The physical laws stay the same. That wasn't an accident. This had to be planned. There has to be a creator, or we wouldn't be here. Anybody who's an atheist, sorry, okay, so you believe in nothing. Congratulations. Think about where you're going to spend eternity. All right, coming up next, Brittany is back, so to speak. The Joe Gotta Go tour is in town. We're going to be talking with Bruce Carter about the Joe Gotta Go tour. He's still here. You might see the buses run around town. He's next.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by left-wing Democrats, and they openly discriminate against whites and Asians. So even if your daughter has the best test scores, even if your son has amazing grades, even if they spend extra hours studying and doing everything right, it won't be enough. Unless you suddenly discover that you're part Cherokee, or transgender, or in the country illegally. Otherwise, your kids are out of luck. Which begs the question, if Democrats are hurting your children, why would you ever vote for them? Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was, and that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Greetings.
I'm Brittany Brown.
I'm Bill Edwards.
We're the co-hosts of Get Real America.
We're the CEO and the president of something we call the Local Spin, and there's a reason we call it the Local Spin.
We want to cover stories that really impact your life at the local level. Don't have a local business? No problem. If you know people that have a local business, make sure you reach out to them and let them know that they should advertise on our show.
Our rates are extremely reasonable, a lot better than you find in most of the media in this town, and you will get results. I promise. You will be investing in something that's important.
If you don't have the ability to donate, make sure you like our page and share it with your friends. Have you always wanted to own a local media company? Well, now's your opportunity.
Here we are.
Make sure you become an investor today. Make sure that you go to thelocalspin.com/GRA and donate there. We want to provide an evening and morning news to you in a way that you've never seen before, but we need your help.
Yeah, this is something that what NPR said that they were supposed to be. NPR gets something in the range of $450 million of your tax money every year to slant the news the way they want to and to not cover stories that they need to be covering.
You need local media. Make sure to check us out and donate today. Welcome back to Get Real America. Today we have a very special guest with us, someone that is making a huge difference in Georgia. Joe's got to go. How long have you been doing this?
Well, the Joe Gotta Go tour officially started in August. And I've been to Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Indiana, Wisconsin, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, so far.
Georgia's your favorite, right?
I do like Georgia for this reason. Let me just be real. The gas prices.
Yeah.
The best gas price in America right now. So I think I can stay here a little longer.
We'll take you as long as we can.
What got you started? What was your motivation for this, and what kind of reaction are you getting?
Well, my motivation started really in 2020 when Biden went on a national black syndicated radio show and said, hey, if you consider voting for Trump and not me, you're not black.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the epitome of racism. If anything is based on a person's skin color. But it took me back, Brittany, kind of like I was telling you, to the thought process of LBJ. You know, I always tell people according to history because I wasn't born. Um, he got a group of governors together and said, hey, these niggers are getting uppity. We have to give them something. You got welfare, and you got voting rights. Not that they weren't needed the right, but it's the last part. So you can own them for 200 years. And I believe that Biden, since he was around in that era, that he believed in their ownership. And I believe he was so comfortable saying it that people should have been in an uproar. And I blame the Congressional Black Caucus. I blame the NAACP. I believe that you sold people out because, you know, for whatever monies you get or whatever power you have. I blame the other elected officials. And you came out with a soft apology after a few people said something. But for me, it just like was a deep dig that I call political slavery. And so every chance I get, every moment I get until he's out of power, I want to make sure that I touch as many people as I possibly can to never vote for him for me, that reason. But I go deeper. You know, on our website, we talk about his history of who he's been when it comes to Black people in general. And at the end of the day, I don't care anything about race. If you okay, I'm okay. If you a good person and you yellow, I'm with you. If you're a bad person, you yellow, I don't want to deal with you. That's my belief. So that's it. But the more I study, the more I learn, the more I engage these communities, specifically the urban core, I see the poverty, I see the crime, and I see the leadership. So it doesn't matter what urban core you go to, it's been under the leadership of Democrats since the 60s. And the crime is ridiculous. The poverty level, it's high, but the mindset of how to get out, how to get there is what's bad. And the entitlement is through the roof. And I believe it's very intentional. So my job is simple. I want to go through Savannah. I want to go through Atlanta. I want to go through Detroit. I want to go through all these cities, but specifically battlegrounds. So I've spent some time in Milwaukee, which I'm going to get back there. If Arizona remains a battleground, I'm going to get into Phoenix. But I believe Georgia is the path for change based on the way your state has voted in the last 4 years. When you have the Republican governor, and then you have the U.S. Senate seats, which are statewide, both are Democrat, that means that this state is wavering right now. They're like a battleship that don't know what to do. Nobody's on the throttle. So you got to get somebody back on the throttle who can take control. And I believe that there is enough. There's enough sisters who will hear the call and who will respond. And I believe that Republicans, as of today, some of them is just as bad. I think that they got to be held accountable also. I speak from a conservative mindset and from a I love God mindset. So I'm not out rooting for this person or that person, but I'm telling the truth about the person who don't need to be there.
Yeah, what has the response been? Because I'm sure having a big bus and 2 vans that have Joe's Got to Go on the side of them, I'm sure you're getting some sort of a response.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to be doing this. You know, you're not the right color to be doing this.
It's funny. I've been called a coon, an Uncle Tom, a white supremacist of all people.
Yeah, you're the black face of white supremacy.
A token. I saw someone on Reddit said that I was a right-wing operative. I seen someone else send out a deal that I was being paid by the Texas Republican Party. And I'm saying, y'all come on now. I'll take it. Because I got a plan now. I'm not refusing.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't did it yet, so y'all need to bring this to life.
Let me see the money.
But the reality is, for those few, there has been hundreds of thousands of patriotic conservatives. And I will say this, the Black community in Georgia has been so forthcoming. I mean, like through the roof. I've been in Brunswick County. It's just been good. No matter where I've been, Atlanta, I've been meeting with people there. So I just believe that there's a shift anyway. I think that the writing's big enough to know that the Democrat Party as a whole has pimped, manipulated, enslaved black votes since the 60s. And I think they've done it so long that they're blind to what's happening. So whether it's this election or the next election, the pandering, all these things are slowly deteriorating because life is really hard right now for people. So
you have, I know you're going to be suffering the slings and arrows of all this stuff, but that mindset because you are black, you have to think this way. You can't think any other way. You've got to be. And when you said, and Joe, when we go back to Biden's background, he's a racist.
Oh,
He's,
by
he
large.
said yeah, but he said all these things, and among other things, when he says, my vice president's going to be a black woman. So
Oh yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
But hold on now. I love this though.
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah.
He also said that I'm going to pick a black woman for the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah.
He also said that my press secretary is going to be black. But guess what he did?
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them had black husbands or lovers.
Yeah.
So they're still getting advice from. Look, at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, if you just really look with an open mind, you can see things that you never saw because you're not blurred. I've always been an independent thinker. If you talk to my college coaches, you talk to my teachers, you talk to anyone around me, I've always been that way. I was born that way. The problem with me is I was ignorant to politics in 2016. I just didn't care about it. The first time I voted in my life, I was 38. I voted for Obama. This black man's running. Yeah, I'm going to vote for him. And it was going to the height of the recession. Had no expectation. I voted for him again because I was voting. I was just voting.
Your civic duty.
A civic duty. 2016, I would have voted for Hillary Clinton, but I was having a conversation with my then 17-year-old daughter. And she said, "Who are you voting for?" I'm like, "The lady." I didn't even know her name. Bill Clinton's wife, the lady. And she said, we're sitting down just like this. And she said, "No, I would vote for Bernie Sanders." And I'm like, "Who is that?" And she said, "Well, he marched with Dr. King." This is a 17-year-old, right?
Yeah. So
that night in the 2016 primaries, Hillary smoked Bernie, like 62-38% in the Texas primaries. So I was working on a project and I said, "Man, I'm going to go help this man." So I took my personal vehicle and I wrapped it with "Black Man for Bernie." Because I said, black men got to do more in voting. And I looked to see where the next event was. The next event was in Flint, Michigan, which was in that Sunday. So I said, okay, I got to get to Flint. I called my camera guy, called my brother and organized, and we were on our way to Flint. I got to Flint, Michigan, didn't know you had to have a ticket to get into the debate. So I met a couple of young kids that was going there to see Bernie. And I said, "Let me chauffeur you in." I chauffeured them in and I parked by the media. That was my first picture I took.
Oh my gosh.
So this is Sunday night. The election's that Tuesday. Bernie's down 17 points to Hillary. So remember, I'm ignorant. Ignorant as you can be in politics. So that next night, Bernie was at the big house, University of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, we're going to go down there. And we went down there, meet my brother and the camera guy. We walked in. It's in the arena. We looked around. I said, "Hey, let's get out of here. It's 30,000 white people here." They said, no. We want you to meet the senator. They put us behind the stage. We're rocking out. So I'm 2 days in. Now I'm in the basement with Bernie and the Secret Service.
Okay.
So I told Bernie, "I'm going to help you." So I went through, in 2016, I went through 40 states stomping for Bernie Sanders. I had a bus, 9 vans. We're all over the country from east to west. When I got to LA, I had been in Philadelphia. I had these big backdrops of "Black Man for Bernie," and I'm making all this noise. I got to LA and I saw Skid Row. And I said then I would never in my life ever be a Democrat. Because they have poverty and they have crime. Because every city I was in, every night on TV, people were killing each other. I was done. I started getting calls from black conservatives and one reporter from Breitbart. Will you support Trump? Because now I'm on the LA News, the LA Times saying they're robbing Bernie, like they're cheating the Democrats. So I'm all of the electoral. I'm campaigning. I'm lobbying against the county commission office the way they're doing Bernie on the provisional ballots. So I said it's rigged. They're cheating Bernie, and I couldn't understand why a Democrat would cheat another Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And they started saying, will you support Trump? Will you support Trump? I'm like, man, he talks too much. You need to shut up. But ultimately, in 2016, I did. I formed a group called Trump for Urban Communities. And I met with them and I said, look, I'll support you under these conditions. We got to do something in these urban cores. And I think it went very well. According to history, it went well. Of course, the people, and this is where I become very careful and selective what I do. The people that was representing who was going to do this, they did nothing. They lied, basically. And then I think at that point, so after 2020, really disappointed because these guys, he got elected, they went down the road, they didn't care about the people. So in 2020, I just created my own movement. Just said black men will vote. I just traveled the country and educated. Went into barbershops and I said, listen, man, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but you got to look at these things. Whoever you believe is your best interest. Because what I never wanted to do was be tied to a candidate and the candidate let the people down. Because really, I let them down. Because it was my voice that got them to do that. Because they never met the candidate. And so this time around, Joe's not the answer. And the people that run with Joe is not the answer. And for me, that's an easy sell. The Republican Party has to get their act together. They got to do a lot better than what they're doing. You know, as I told you off camera, they sound like a bunch of buffoons. And someone has to come out of that crowd on the presidential side, and they have to be an American, a true American. And I believe that if they do that, they're going to garner these votes that I'm going to go out and get. Because I'm not going to tell the people who to vote for. But I will make sure that they are able to study and look at these primaries. And they will participate in these primaries. And they will vote on the Republican side. So their job is to figure out who is the best Republican for me, my community, and they're going to learn how to be patriotic. Because I wasn't patriotic until 2020. Wow. I could care less what went on. Like, it didn't matter to me. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to outserve everybody. America ain't did enough for me. I'm going to do my thing.
And how do you feel when they talk about how diverse they are, but not how qualified these people are?
You know, for me, it's, at the end of the day, my call and my duty from God is to serve people, to love people. That's what I do well. Mm-hmm. I may fail at a million other things, but I'll never fail at that. Mm-hmm. Because it's who I am. I just believe that if I look at the Democrat Party, their policies and their game plan is not to serve the masses. Mm-hmm. It's to enslave them to a point where they'll always need them. So that means if you're living in government housing and you're getting food stamps, and the only way you can keep that is you can't even go earn a little money, that's a flawed principle.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
But I know that if you need me to give you that, I own you. So I have to go in and tell people, listen, let me help you do better for your family. And when we hold these roundtables that we talked about, we have real conversations. I mean, you see people crying. You see people getting angry, like, man, they played my grandmother that long. Or my mom, if I could just explain this to her. So my degree is education. That's what my degree is. This is just one more way to educate people. And since Black men don't vote at a high rate, remember, I was 38 when I first voted.
Yeah.
So, but women do. They have this compassionate reason to go vote. So it's my job to make sure that this group is, one, informed, because I believe an informed vote is the best vote. You know, people will lie and say, oh, no, there's not going to be one person in America, and I've touched millions, that's going to ever say, I said vote for that person.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs. I want to get promoted
Based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended
by my coworkers
and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. How does your sports background, especially football, correlate with this? What are the lessons you learned in sports?
I was a 2-time All-American in college.
Bravo.
I ran the indoor 60 in college.
Mm-hmm.
I played baseball. So high-level athlete. I graduated high school number 9 in my class.
Wow.
I graduated college with a 3.2. I was the president of this organization. I've been getting up at 4 in the morning for the last 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a winner.
Amen.
But I got to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I work hard. I mean, working hard is what I do. And so I'm not worried about someone I work in me. I'm really not worried about somebody I think in me. I don't use drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do anything to affect my brain. And my prayer, probably since I was like 12, is God, please don't ever let me lose my mind. Like, whatever we got to go through in life, we all go, but don't let me lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been sharp. And when I get in that bus and I drive, it's like a thinking pad. And sometimes I'm like, I'll drive 8 hours just to get it all out. And something good will come out of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, when I'm in battle right now.
Yeah.
Like this election next year is like the Super Bowl. And I was telling the team, we do our team meetings, is I practiced for this for 2020, but then COVID came. One, I was upset. I mean, I was really upset with the people that represented Trump and what they were going to do in these urban cores. I was really angry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was ready to come out and crush everybody. Then COVID came. The problem is I got time to perfect and practice. So now it's about hitting these 159 counties in Georgia, finding the people that, you know, everybody think, oh, this guy just out here talking to the black people. They're ignorant. I got so many people in my phone that they lily white. Guess what they do? They open their homes for me.
Yep.
I've met with judges, superior judges, sheriffs, police, EMS, nurses. I'm on St. Simon's Island. I'm going to Sea Island. Yeah, because at the end of the day, people know bullcrap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk for 50 hours. I'm gonna be the same guy.
Yeah.
If you see me somewhere else, it's gonna be the same guy. That makes my life easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what we have to do.
But a chameleon.
For those that said, I love people, right? I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. What do you believe? Because see, Matthew gave us a mandate if you are a believer. And you see Christ through us. So when I go places, I'm kind. So when I pull up at a gas station, I just happened to be at that gas station. There was a lady on her way back to Florida, her and her disabled veteran husband. You know what she said? I'm paying for that tank of gas today.
Oh.
Wow.
It happens all the time. I'm in Broken Bow Arrow, Oklahoma, Sunday morning, lady's on her way to church. And she came up. She says, who's in charge? They pointed me out. She took her hand. She gave it. It was a stack of 500. I mean, it's 500 total. 500 total. All $100 bills. She says, God said I was going to bless somebody today in my city, and it was you.
Wow.
So it's work.
Yeah.
It's work. And at the end of the day, I'm going to outwork the campaigns. I'm going to outwork the TV commercials because I'm going to touch people. And those people are going to be empowered. So when I talk to these sisters, I said, look, I want to teach you about relationship voting. If you live in a place where, let's say, the Republicans are in power, and you go vote Democrat, you have no relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no relationship. So the relationship says any of these candidates, if you're running for a congressional race in Georgia, and your primary race can be upstaged by 7,000 to 8,000 votes, you better have a conversation with me, because I'm gonna have those 7,000 sisters in your district who's gonna participate in this Republican primary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they want a relationship.
Right.
So if we think that everything we're doing is just about Democrat or Republican, you're silly.
Mm-hmm.
We need the best Republican. We need someone who really believes that they have a purpose when they're elected. They're not trying to be a superstar, but they're trying to make sure that if you're in Congress, those 800,000 people that you represent, that you have a skill set to represent them.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever that might be, that's the job. But at the end of the day, you do have to have a commander-in-chief that the world looks at as being strong.
Yep. We are seeing the repercussions of that now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. So people don't have to like Trump. But one thing I can say is this. There was enough fear of him across the world that you just didn't do certain things.
Yeah.
So while we don't have troops on the ground today, we're at war.
Oh, yes.
See, we can't spend $100 billion and not be at war.
Yeah.
Good point.
And so, but it's going to keep escalating.
Mm-hmm.
So if Ukraine is important and we're funding their war. Now where we are with Israel and Hamas, we're looking to fund that war.
Both sides of both wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you look at, and I've had the privilege, I guess I call it, to touch so many people to where I was in a small town in Iowa a couple of months ago. Lady came on, she's a nurse. She's crying. Like, she's literally crying that she works 2 jobs. She had to move out of her rental property, which she was only paying $600 a month because the food price was so high. This is a nurse. So now this is a nurse that's going to go to work, whether she's checking blood pressure, whether she's in the ER, whose mind is thinking about all the stuff in her life that's not on point. When we need to try to figure out if we continually raise interest rates and everything's going up, like, nothing's changing.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? Because that's not working. But Americans are hurting.
Yeah.
So is that the number one thing that you're hearing from people when because you're having so much contact with people and having personal conversations? What is their biggest concern when you're talking to them?
The biggest concern is is being able to afford what they need. We talked a little bit before we came in here about abortion and all these, but if you can push abortion and you push it to the point where you get people in an uproar, because uproars make people respond, you get them in an uproar, you have to be able to come back and have a reasonable conversation about the value of a life. So if you see me, I wear these shirts all the time that says the value of a life. How much is a life worth? Mm-hmm. And to me, that's how we have the conversation. That lady, that woman who got pregnant, whether she just had sex and got pregnant, whether she was raped and got pregnant, whether she hated her husband after she got pregnant, you have to explain to her the value of her life, but also the value of that child's life. And how do we get there? I've talked to a lot of conservative and Republicans because they're different to me. And I always tell them, what do we do with the kids that were aborted after they were born? Because that's what's happening across this country. They had the baby, but they aborted them. They didn't give them up for adoption. They're living in the homes, but they're aborted. And so we get some of the stuff you see with the children in Chicago, Pennsylvania, a 12-year-old consciously shooting someone over and over and over. And you're saying, what is going on? That baby was aborted. I don't want to hear people say, oh, it's the parents' fault. No. She had sex, she got pregnant, and she gave birth. She was never a mother. She was 15. But you can't tell her much now because she had a baby. So there's just things from a practical standpoint in this country. Because now I'm a patriot.
Yeah.
Like I'm hardcore now. Like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So, and the police are my friends.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I go here, like I got more police in my phones than some police chiefs have. From commissioners to sheriffs, all over the country. And I support the police hands down. Like, them are my people. But how do we, and I always say we, how do we as patriots, how do we as conservatives? So I'm going to lean on conservative because that's the moral value. And patriots mean there's enough people that really love the country. The problem is this. The country is not the sea and the water, it's the people. So you must put Americans first in order to love America. Because that's what's going to make us get to the next level. So it's easy for me to come in and hug you, and show up and do this. Because I truly, truly, truly love the people of this country. Even the people, when they're cursing me, flipping me off, I'm always laughing, saying, why are you acting like that? What is wrong? What did I do to you? And then I say, guess what? My bus says why you should not vote for him if you're black. I'm not even talking to you. I have fun. I'm sorry.
Well, if you have not checked out his social media, it is wonderful. He has a lot of the Karen videos.
Well, you remember Charles Barkley, I think, was running for governor of Oklahoma or of Alabama, and he as a Republican, and some of his buddies said, "What are you doing that for?" So you voted Democrat for the last 60 years. How's that working out for you?
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, you're doing such an incredible thing right now, and you're serving. You're giving your time, your talent, and your treasure to do this. So I know a lot of people that would love to support you. So how do they do that?
Here's what I want you to do, because I'm ready for this. People been saying this. So here's what we're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. Yeah, I want you to do this. It's designed for you. Go to joegottagotour.com, and it's called Preserve America Shop. And what we've done, because there's a goal, there's steps on how we want to preserve America. So we have the who, what, when, where, how. The how is we've created this Joe Gotta Go bundle.
Oh.
Which is this hat, this shirt, and a flag that looks just like this. When you buy the bundle, what it does is it keeps the buses moving, the team in place, and being able to organize what we do. Step 2 is we do roundtables. So it's Slack roundtables, which is Sisters Learning About Conservatives roundtable. We host those roundtables in cities all across America. We're going to do some in Savannah, Atlanta area. But the goal is simple. I want to take 50,000 sisters to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Do you have a date for that?
No. First, it's $100,000 just deposit.
Okay,
So I know right now.
I'm not
I
trying
have
to get ahead
an
of
idea
myself,
date.
but
I want to do it in February for this reason. That's the month of love with all the stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But I want to be able to shower these sisters. When I say love, love is an action. I talk about home ownership. We always talk about what's not affordable. If you don't own it, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you can own it. So I literally teach them how they can own these homes and how they can put it together. You used to could make $12 an hour. instant credit before the inflation went up, and you could buy a home not in Atlanta, but maybe 50 miles out, so outside of any. So I educate them. So that's what we're going to do there. And those 3 steps, because in my heart, based on everywhere I've been, Georgia will be the epic center for 2024. Whether because you got the Trump trials going, you got, as we spoke earlier about, your head of states are Democrat and Republican, and you're no longer red, you're no longer blue, you're true purple. And the question is, who's going to move who to get to where you're trying to go? Apparently, Governor Kemp's done a good job because I love your gas prices. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, I don't want to leave Georgia. I can afford this. But that's what you do. So when you go to Joe Gotta Go tour, you'll see the work. You'll see the house parties taking place. My goal is to do 500 within the state of Georgia. I don't want to play with 11,000, 12,000. I want it to be so clear that it sets a mandate moving forward. So for me, it's really simple. If you disrupt the system, the disruption doesn't stay in this one localized area. So the disruption in Georgia would disrupt Illinois, the Chicago mess that nobody seems to fix, the San Francisco mess that nobody seems to fix, the LA mess that nobody seems to fix. Because I've spent extensive amount of time on the ground with regular people who's like, I don't know what to do. Like, people come talk to us, they talk about this, but nobody does nothing. And so I want to show that if we have a concentrated effort, that you can create change that's so loud that people now hear you. And so that's what I plan on doing in Georgia. We will visit all 159 counties. If you are a Republican leader, we'd like to come into your county, be very organized, be there 2 days, come out, meet the people, and go about our business. So hit up Brittany, hit us up. Joe Gotta Go tour, the different socials. Let's get organized, because that's what it takes. We can no longer sit on these little walls, have these conversations, hope social media reach someone.
Yeah.
We got to get on the ground. We got to meet people where they are, and we have to meet them with love, big smiles, hugs, and eventually you're going to find something you agree on.
That's true. I mean, there's more that makes us the same than different. So I'm excited for him to come back to Savannah, and we will keep you guys posted on when he'll be here, because you won't want to miss it.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate you.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes.
God bless. Safe travels.
Thank you, and we'll be right back.
See ya. Stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender. And as long as Democrats stay in power, it will just keep getting worse. Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Welcome back and happy Monday. You got a lot of good comments on Bruce Carter's interview. Christy said she likes this guy. He's spot on. Mary says Joe's got to go planting seeds across America. And Steve Stanton says nothing like seeing it with my own eyes. And that is indeed the case. As we leave you today, we're going to be saluting veterans. We'll have more tomorrow. But I talked to Rabbi Robert Haas, the Temple Mikveh Israel, and said they have a lot of members of their congregation who are serving in the military. One we just lost recently who has been awarded posthumously the Congressional Medal of Honor in fighting for our country and dying for this great nation. And asked him yet on Friday just exactly what Veterans Day meant to him. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day, of course, is and again, this was ironic because it was almost an accident we put it up this year. It's usually the last week of October. It got placed this year on Veterans Day. So we always have a big Veterans Day service, a big Veterans Day, because we have a lot of people who serve and have served. So it's kind of, I think, in many ways very apropos this year because of what's going on in Israel and how much we support our military. But I mean, we have a lot of people in our congregation who support the military, who've been in the military and who are currently in the military. Obviously, we have 2 bases, so whenever somebody's here for a couple of years, they come here and give them anything they need. So we are very supportive, and thank goodness we have a great military. It is essential.
You have a Medal of Honor winner, understanding you're posthumously.
Yeah, we've had 2 people during my time here who died, and one of them was eventually given the Congressional Medal of Honor. He saved. It was an incredible story, and it's just such a tragic to one of the greatest people I ever met. I mean, before he was given that honor. I mean, so we are very supportive of all the military. We usually used to do a lot of stuff at the base, or we did a lot of stuff at the Mighty Eighth. We used to have our service there every year. It's a little harder now because of technology. We stream everything, and streaming from over there doesn't come with it, so we usually do the service here now. But yeah, we'll do it again next year. It's just an incredible privilege to be in a city that has so much support. And that's what I love also, is that, you know, you come to Savannah, you go to any of the houses of worship, and if you say you're in the military, whether you were in the past or present or future, everybody is really supportive, and it's really great.
Toda.
Toda. Litrot. Adios. As we say in Israel, bon appetit.
Talking about the Jewish Food Festival that went off without a hitch yesterday, and the food was fantastic. Nice crowd. The weather held off. It was a little overcast, a little cool, but nevertheless, it was absolutely fantastic. And we leave you this morning with some of the entertainment. Mike Zoller from Savannah Theater was there doing some of the stuff they were doing. They have a Fiddler on the Roof going on this week, and you might want to go check that out at the Savannah Theater. They do great stuff before their Christmas show starts on Thanksgiving Day. Support us locally, and as we leave you, Ricardo Ochoa, yeah, by the way, anything that you can do to help us out, you can make donations, you can also advertise with us. Our advertising rates are extremely low compared to what the corporate-owned television stations here charge maybe to supposedly cover the news. But we need your help. And as we leave you this morning, some of the entertainment besides Mike Zoller yesterday, we came from Ricardo Ochoa, one of my favorite people, fantastic violinist, plays in the Savannah Philharmonic, also has his own gig going on the side. This guy can play anything, including some of the great Jewish music that they played yesterday at the food festival. Ricardo Ochoa and all the other Ochoas in the band.